I need to warn you again. This story is long, and it is extremely heavy. Everything I'm about to share is true. It is a story about life at its most brutal, about betrayal, heartbreak, loss, and the struggle to survive when everything you thought was solid crumbles around you. I had been away for 7 months. 7 months of what felt like unending torment. I cannot fully describe what happened during those months, but I can tell you how it felt. Each day was a battle against a storm inside my mind. Every night, nightmares would come, vivid and cruel, showing me moments of pain I could not escape. Guilt consumed me. Fear haunted me. Loneliness became my companion. And through it all, there was no one to hold me, no one to reassure me that it would end. From the beginning, my teammate, the man I had called my brother, had been my rock. We met as children. He was 5, I was 6. From the first day, we were inseparable. We shared everything: our laughter, our secrets, our childhood dreams. I trusted him more than anyone. And yet, even the strongest people can break, sometimes in silence. I began to notice the warning signs. Hours of silence, staring at nothing, flinching at the smallest sound. He became withdrawn, distant, unreachable. I tried to talk to him. I tried to guide him back to life, to keep him grounded, to show him he was not alone. But there was a darkness growing inside him that I could not reach, no matter how hard I tried. Then came the day that would forever define me. He pulled out his weapon. I froze. My hands trembled uncontrollably. I begged him to stop. I reminded him that he was not alone, that I was his family, that I would not abandon him. But he said he had nothing left. No one. Nothing worth living for. And that the guilt of what we had done would eventually destroy him. And then, the shot. The sound of the gunshot is something that has haunted me every day since. It tore through my ears, my mind, and through the fragile reality I had known. In that instant, the man I had trusted with everything was gone. His life ended in front of me. I could not move. I could not speak. My mind refused to function. Blood, chaos, screaming, everything collided into a nightmare I could not escape. I could not eat. I could not sleep. My children called me on Skype, and I could not answer. I could only stare at the screen, my thoughts trapped in that single horrific moment. I spent hours with a professional, trying to process what had happened, trying to find some way to survive the fragments of my own mind. Eventually, I was sent home. I thought going home would bring relief. I was wrong. Someone had warned me. Military wives are dangerous. Don't trust anyone. I had dismissed it as bitterness. I wanted to believe in people. I wanted to believe in home. I did not tell my wife I was coming back. I planned a surprise. I wanted to see my daughters after 7 months, to hold them, to feel life again. We had been together 5 years, 4 dating, 1 married. Our twin girls were 2 years old. I had missed them more than words can describe. When I arrived, I saw my car, my home, everything as it should have been. Yet I was tense. Hope mixed with fear, anticipation mixed with dread. I walked in. The house was empty. I checked the living room, the kitchen, the pool. Nothing. Then I heard it, a sound that froze my heart, moaning, from my bedroom. The door was locked, but I had access via my fingerprint scanner. I opened it, and there they were. My wife bent over, and the man behind her, my best friend, the one I had grown up with, my brother since childhood, my best man at our wedding. I froze. My mind refused to comprehend what I was seeing. Then my wife screamed, You're going to kill him! Stop! Adrenaline surged through me. My heart raced, my hands shook. My body felt alien to me. In front of me, a naked man, bleeding, and a naked woman, crying, apologizing. I had lost control. I screamed. I shouted everything I had endured. 7 months of nightmares, fighting to survive, depression, paranoia. I had returned home only to be betrayed. I smashed everything within reach. The bed, the dresser, the TV, the walls. Neighbors called the police. EMTs arrived, taking them both to the hospital. My hands were patched. He had broken bones. I felt nothing. No anger, no guilt, only emptiness. Then came the footsteps. "Daddy!" My girls leapt onto the bed and hugged me. I cried. I asked her, "Are they mine?" She sobbed and said yes, but my mind refused to accept it. Later, DNA tests revealed the truth. They were not mine. My world collapsed completely. She had cheated from the beginning, using me, lying to me, taking my love and trust. And now she was pregnant again, with his child. I walked for 13 hours that day, aimlessly, trying to escape my own thoughts. I cried. I vomited. I felt hollow. One morning I woke up to find a gun beside my bed. That terrified me more than anything else. I realized then that surviving your own mind is harder than surviving anything else in the world. After that day, my life became a fog, thick, suffocating, and inescapable. I wandered through my own home as if it belonged to someone else. Each room carried the echo of betrayal, and every corner reminded me of what I had lost. I could not sleep. I could not eat. My mind replayed that morning over and over. The shock, the blood, the screaming. I felt hollow, a shell of the person I had once been. I began remembering my childhood with him, my best friend, my brother in every sense of the word. We grew up in the same neighborhood, playing on the same streets, sharing scraped knees, scraped elbows, and endless laughter. We were inseparable. Every summer, every birthday, every school day, we were together. We built forts in the backyard, raced our bikes until we fell, and whispered our secrets under the stars. And now, he had become the architect of my ruin. I thought about my daughters, our twin girls. Even as infants, they had brought a joy that seemed unshakable. I remembered the first time they called me Daddy, the tiny fingers that wrapped around mine, the way they slept curled against my chest. And now, knowing they were not biologically mine, I felt a profound ache, an emptiness that no words could describe. Still, I loved them. That love had not vanished, though it became tangled with grief, betrayal, and fear. I spent days walking the streets, wandering without destination. The city moved around me, but I felt invisible, untouchable. Life continued, indifferent to my pain. I watched people laughing, holding hands, living, while I was trapped in my own mind, replaying memories that cut deeper than any physical wound. At night, I would sit on a park bench and think of him, my best friend, my brother, gone. I tried to forgive him, tried to understand, but I could not. I thought about the woman I had trusted completely, who had used that trust to betray me. And I thought about myself, the man who survived, yet felt hollow. Could survival be enough when everything else was lost? I sought professional help again, not just for trauma, but for understanding how to rebuild my life. I learned to breathe through the panic, to sit with the emptiness, to allow myself to feel without letting it destroy me. Therapy became a lifeline. Slowly, I began to learn that survival was not forgetting, but remembering without being consumed. Months passed, Slowly, I began reconnecting with small parts of life. I visited my daughters whenever I could, learning their routines, their laughter, their quirks. I played games with them, taught them little lessons, read them stories, and watched their eyes sparkle with innocence and wonder. It was a reminder that life could still be beautiful, even after unimaginable pain. Work became another refuge. I trained as a pilot, mastering control in the air when I had none on the ground. I started a real estate business, building stability from chaos. Each small victory reminded me that I was still capable of life, still capable of creation. Yet trust remained a fragile, elusive thing. I avoided relationships, intimacy, and emotional attachment. I built walls higher and higher around my heart, trying to protect myself from future betrayal. Every new person I met was measured against the memory of what had been done to me. Sometimes I would visit my brother's grave and talk to him, not for answers, because there were none, not for justice, because the world does not offer it, but to release a fraction of the grief, to honor the bond that had been broken, to remind myself that survival does not mean giving up. I told him about my daughters, about my home, about the emptiness, the pain, and the small victories. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the weight lifted. Life continued. My ex-wife moved back to her parents, leaving behind nothing but the chaos she had caused. The man I had once called my brother, my best friend, had no job, no home, no means. The world seemed to balance itself, even as my heart struggled to comprehend it. I began to explore my own mind, retracing memories of my childhood, my time with him, my early days with my wife. Every memory, every moment became a lesson of resilience, of vigilance, of the fragility of trust, and the enduring power of love even when it is unreciprocated. Years passed. My daughters grew. They laughed. They cried. They discovered life with all its beauty and pain. I watched from a distance, always protective, always present in my own way. I could not undo the past, but I could influence their future. I could teach them strength, resilience, and compassion, even if it was not the life I had imagined. I began to rebuild more than just my career. I rebuilt my mind, my sense of self, and my understanding of what it meant to live fully. I traveled, I explored, I created, I forged new friendships cautiously, learning the difference between trust and caution, between love and dependence. Through it all, I carried the scars, reminders of everything I had endured, everything I had lost, everything I had survived. They were a permanent mark, but also a testament to resilience. I understood that life does not offer neat endings, justice, or closure. Life offers survival. And if you are strong enough, life offers the chance to rebuild. I never called myself a hero. I am not a hero. I am a man who survived the darkest days, who loved deeply and was betrayed, who lost almost everything and yet continues to rise every day. Strength, I learned, is not in vengeance or fury. Strength is in surviving, in enduring, and in choosing life when every part of you wants to give up. The nights were the hardest. Even as I rebuilt some semblance of routine, the darkness of memory returned to me, relentless and precise. I could feel the weight of the 7 months pressing down, as though I had carried the entire world on my shoulders, and it refused to leave. I remembered walking the streets, aimless, feeling invisible, listening to life continue without me. Children laughing, couples holding hands, families sitting at tables, all of it mocking me in quiet, unbearable ways. I began to think about my childhood more and more. My best friend and I had grown up in a small neighborhood where everyone knew everyone else. We shared scraped knees from climbing trees, summer days filled with sunburn and laughter, and whispered secrets in the dark. He had been my constant. I trusted him more than anyone, more than I trusted myself. And now, the person I had counted on most in my life had destroyed me in ways that would never heal entirely. I spent hours revisiting every moment I could remember, every word, every gesture, trying to find a sign I had missed. Could I have done something differently? Could I have stopped him from taking his life? Could I have prevented the betrayal that awaited me at home? These questions haunted me, and yet, slowly, through therapy and the support of a few trusted colleagues, I learned to carry them without letting them crush me. Time with my daughters became my anchor. I would visit them whenever possible, watching them grow, learning their routines, hearing their laughter. I taught them how to tie their shoes, how to draw with crayons, how to speak their first sentences. Every moment with them was precious, every giggle a reminder that life could still be beautiful, even in the shadow of pain. I realized that even though they were not biologically mine, they still needed me, and in turn, I needed them. I began to explore my passions more fully. Flying became my salvation. The sensation of control, the clarity of the skies, the precision required. It was an escape and a therapy at once. Real estate allowed me to build, to create stability when my personal life had been chaos. Every small success reminded me that I was still capable, that I was still alive, that life was still possible. Even as I rebuilt, trust remained a fragile thing. I kept people at a distance, my heart guarded behind walls that were becoming harder and harder to scale. I measured every interaction against memories of betrayal and loss, but I also began to understand that trust could be rebuilt, slowly, carefully, and with discernment. I visited my brother's grave frequently, speaking to him as if he could hear me. Not for answers. There were none. Not for justice. The world does not offer it. But to release a fraction of grief, to honor the bond that had been broken, to remind myself that survival did not mean surrender. I told him about my daughters, my work, the house, the progress, and the setbacks. And slowly, the weight lifted, almost imperceptibly, until the fog of despair became a distant companion rather than a constant shadow. Life continued around me. My ex-wife had returned to her parents' home, taking little with her. The man I had once called my brother had no job, no home, nothing tangible. Life had a strange way of balancing itself. And yet, for me there was no balance, only the slow reconstruction of a life I had once taken for granted. I spent time reflecting on the nature of betrayal and trust. I had loved deeply, given everything, and been repaid with deception. Yet in spite of it all, I learned that the human heart could still endure, that survival was not the same as being unscathed, that endurance and resilience were a quiet form of triumph. Years passed. I continued rebuilding my life piece by piece. My daughters grew older. I watched them navigate the world, learning, laughing, discovering life with all its beauty and complexity. Though I was not their biological father, I was present in every meaningful way I could be. I taught them lessons about kindness, strength, and resilience. I became a model of consistency and reliability, someone they could count on even when the past had taught me that people could not always be trusted. I also rebuilt myself. Flying became more than a job. It became a meditation. Real estate became more than a business. It became proof that I could create stability where chaos once reigned. I traveled, explored new cities, and embraced experiences I had once avoided. I forged friendships cautiously, discerning which connections were genuine and which were potentially harmful. I became someone who could feel deeply yet remain guarded, someone who could love yet maintain boundaries. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I would revisit memories of my childhood, my best friend, the days of innocence before life had demanded more than I could give. I would remember our shared laughter, the dreams we built together, and the unspoken promises of loyalty. These memories were bittersweet, a reminder of both love and loss. I also reflected on the nature of forgiveness. I never forgave my ex-wife in the traditional sense, nor the man I had called my brother. Forgiveness, I realized, was not about absolving them of their actions, but about freeing myself from the constant weight of anger and bitterness. It was about reclaiming my own life from the ruins they had left behind. Through all this, I remained deeply connected to my daughters. I celebrated birthdays, first days of school, small achievements, and milestones. I supported them, guided them, and loved them without hesitation. Even though the past could never be erased, I was building a future in which I could be proud to participate. I learned that life does not offer closure, but it offers survival. It does not offer justice, but it offers the opportunity to rebuild. And if one is strong enough, it offers the chance to love again, to trust cautiously, and to live fully despite everything. I do not call myself a hero. I am simply a man who endured what few could imagine, who loved deeply, who was betrayed, who lost almost everything, and yet continues to rise each day. Strength, I have learned, is not in vengeance or fury. It is in surviving, in enduring, and in choosing life when every part of you wants to give up. Even now, decades later, I reflect on my journey. I think of my daughters, now grown, and the lessons I hope they carry with them. I think of my fallen brother, and the memories we shared that will always remain untouched by betrayal or time. I think of myself and the resilience I discovered when everything else was stripped away. And through it all, I remain survivor, father, man. I do not know what the future holds, but I know that I am here, that I have endured, and that I will continue to rise, no matter the storms that life